It's time to pet your familiar, tie up your hair, and get ready to cook, because today we are making the Sunlight Souffle from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now, this is an interesting recipe because the finished Sunlight Souffle never actually appears in-game. The only version of it that exists is in the recipe book. The recipe is in this book called Uncommon Taste, which is written by this mysterious chef known as the Gourmet. Optionally, later you also kill him. This recipe that appears in-game is very poorly written, as the recipe doesn't even include eggs, and it involves a cup full of nutmeg. So, as always, we are going to be making a better version of what appears in-game. Let's get started. For this recipe, I'm going to be using a recipe from Jen Siegel, and we'll need 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, a half cup of well-grated dry salty cheese like parmesan, 3 tablespoons of flour, 1 cup of milk, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a pinch of nutmeg, 1½ cups of shredded cheddar, 5 large eggs, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. To begin, we're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Separating out the eggs, we're keeping 4 of the yolks and all 5 of the whites. In order to cleanly separate them, we're just cracking them in half and gently rocking them back and forth between the shell halves. Set those aside and let's grate the cheese. For the cheddar, we just need the pieces to be somewhat small so that they melt into the sauce base later. And for the parmesan, we need it grated finely so we can push it into the sides of the souffle dish. We're going to grease up the souffle pans and add a little bit of the dried cheese to the dish. Always bake things like this in a sheet tray just in case there is some spillover. We're then going to start with the sunshine sauce, as the Gourmet calls it, which we call a bechamel. Unfortunately, this does mean that in some form or another, the French do exist in the Elder Scrolls universe. We need to melt the butter and add in the flour, whisking it constantly for about a minute. You can also have a rubber spatula handy so that you can get into the corners where it has a tendency to burn. We then just need to add in the milk, whisking that in until it's homogeneous, and continuing to whisk constantly until it gets thick. Again, the corners tend to burn here, so I'm occasionally just taking the rubber spatula and ensuring nothing is sticking to the side here. Then, we're removing it from the heat and stirring in the seasonings, the salt, pepper, and the nutmeg. We're then adding in the rest of the cheeses, stirring it in until well incorporated. Then we can whisk in 4 of the egg yolks. We can then set that aside and begin on the egg whites. We just need to add egg whites and the cream of tartar into the bowl of the stand mixer and beat them together on a medium speed until the whites are foamy, then increase the speed until stiff peaks form. The acid in the cream of tartar is what keeps the egg whites stable, so you theoretically could use something like lemon juice as well in a pinch. It can also be omitted if absolutely necessary. When we finally reach stiff peaks, not like this, but like this, we can then work on folding these 2 mixtures together. We just need to start by adding in 1/3 of the cheesy mixture to the egg whites, gently picking up one side and placing it over the top, just like you would if you were folding a sheet. When you've done that enough times, we can then add in the rest, adding it together very gently. If you haven't noticed by now, there are no leavening agents in this recipe like baking soda or baking powder, so the only thing making your souffle airy are the eggs, so it's very important to ensure you don't deflate this more than necessary. The water evaporating off of these is what gives it the lift, so this is an important note to follow when it goes into the oven. Though you may be tempted, don't continuously peek at it or the oven door slamming could deflate these yet again. We're just going to add this to our prepared dishes, leaving room on the top for the soufflés to rise. This is going in 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes for a souffle this size. I had a lot extra here, so I also made a large souffle for fun, which took me about 30 minutes in the oven. You'll want to take them out when they're risen and the top is a lovely golden brown. Voila, you have now made the Gourmet's infamous sunlight souffle. Now, this is obviously very eggy, but the texture is so fun to eat, and I can see why the only 2 recipes in the entirety of Uncommon Taste would include this one. While this may at first appear difficult, you will feel very accomplished having made this, and I promise it's almost as easy as it looks. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe to see more recipes. Thanks for watching.